watched the Warhammer 40,000 preview, and oh my gosh, it was incredible.
Yeah, that was like insane. I like got goosebumps when they showed the Silent King. First off, I was like,
dude, I was exactly the same with Call. Like Belisarius Call, the way that guy reacts, it's just epic. So we have a ton of new models, a ton of new rules. We're going to be diving a little bit deeper into what some of this means, because there's definitely some hints and clues about what we can expect in 9th edition going forward. Can we see the chat? I know it's...
actually, I'm gonna have to pull it up here.
Okay,
Thought I could, but it's fine.
Sweet. All right. So hopefully you guys can see the screen. If you can see the screen, just give us a yes. You should be able to see the codex show. We're going to be going through all the different screen grabs that we got, so that way you can we can break down what we've seen, share with you, and we can have some back and forward banter as we discuss what we think some of this means. So let's see the chat just to confirm that everybody can see us.
Yep. If you can see, just say a yes.
Yeah, give us a yes or a thumbs up or something just to make
anything.
sure. Excellent. All right, guys. So let's look through this and see what we've got here. So first things first, obviously, we've got this new protocol for the Necrons. This is actually from the live stream. They froze it, but it's a good place to look at it. What it looks like is Necrons have been getting these new warlord traits that will essentially allow them to pick one of two directives, but your opponent won't know which of the two you've picked until the game starts. Now, considering one of these is going to boost the range of the Necron's abilities, or the Necron aura abilities, and the other one is going to let them leave close combat and shoot, I think most of the time it's going to be pretty easy for people to guess which one. There's going to be a powerful one and an unpowerful one.
Right.
But that element of surprise is still going to mess people up a little bit who aren't that experienced, so it's going to be something worth noticing. Obviously, the first two codexes are going to be the Necron Codex and the Space Marine Codex. One of the biggest things we've got is a brand new dynasty. Now, we saw some Necron leaks for this codex, and we already knew that the new dynasties are going to have more than one ability. So we can see that right here. This is the Silent Lords, or the Silent Kings dynasty. He's got multiple abilities here. One is he's got a free reroll of a wound roll for every unit in the game when shooting or fighting. So I just want you to imagine rerolling a wound roll, that's a command point normally. This is every unit in the Necron dynasty has the ability every time it shoots or fights.
Are you kidding me?
So that's going to be rerolling a wound roll during Overwatch, during close combat in your opponent's turn.
Wow.
Yeah, there
fight
is
back phase.
Fight back phase, absolutely.
Oh my god.
Every single unit. Now you got to think about things like the Scorpec Destroyer Lord, who's a very nasty unit. Well, that's a unit of one who now rerolls one wound roll in close combat, in shooting. I mean, there's some really nasty combinations.
Destroyers?
Destroyers, absolutely. Now, they've got their extermination protocols, which is going to let them reroll failed hits and wounds. But they don't necessarily need that now because they always reroll hit rolls of a 1. And if they're next to the Destroyer Lord, reroll wound rolls of a 1. So that means that, they're hitting on 3s. If they roll 2 1s, a 2, and a bunch of 3s, they can reroll the 1s and reroll the 2 because of their free reroll.
Good lord.
That's pretty heavy. That's a significant thing. But if that wasn't nasty enough...
Tony is here. He's like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, let's go a step further because, like I said, the dynasties now have more than one ability. That same dynasty, as well as having that nasty, essentially free command point for every single Necron unit, they also have a 5-up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds.
Mortal wounds?
Yes, against mortal wounds.
What?
Yeah.
Then they're not mortal wounds anymore, are they?
Well, they've got a 5-up Feel No Pain against it, which is the same as Disgustingly Resilient, but only against mortal wounds. But still, now, considering the Necrons, they don't really have a psychic phase, but they've got their Catan powers. But you can't cancel a Catan power. If I hit you with a Catan power, you can't deny the witch. Because it's not a psychic power, it's a Catan power. Now, their whole army has a 5-up Feel No Pain against Smite. So... you can use your powers against them. They'll nullify it on a 5-up. And against you, however, you can't stop them.
Necrons are looking strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. And that's if you take the Silent King dynasty. So that's some pretty strong stuff. Now, they're showing another one of these protocols, which is like a warlord trait, I suppose. This one, again, the choices are kind of interesting. You got the one that's the 3-inch boost to the range. But the other one is leave close combat and shoot. But you get -1 to hit. That brings back some really nasty things for the destroyer, the shooting destroyers. We've seen that the Necrons have moved towards a more close combat army in this edition. There's a lot of close combat units. But the fact that they've now got an ability to leave combat and still shoot means that you can't pin down the destroyers, which is kind of what I've been doing in 9th edition now. So that's a nasty protocol as well. Okay. They've now got these Chronomancers. They're like different types of cryptex that all have different abilities. This particular one, the Chronomancer has an ability to stop somebody or to half somebody's advance or charge roll. So again, if you're going to play a delaying cryptech, you really could stop your opponent charging with their close combat unit, charge your close combat unit in, reroll some wound rolls. I mean, we're seeing some real synergy that it's almost playing like a Magic the Gathering game where you're slowing them down and denying their ability to be as effective as they want to be.
So much blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's blue. So it's some pretty good stuff. There's some Crusade stuff, which I'm not going to go in. We've got a beautiful picture of the Silent King. They released the Silent King stats. I want to talk about this just a little bit because honestly, they're underwhelming. 16 wounds, a 3-up save, and toughness 7. That's not going to survive much. I mean, let's put this in comparison. It's weaker than a Land Raider. Land Raider's got a 2-up save, 16 wounds, and a toughness of 8. So, you got this special character, but there are no special rules shown.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the special rules that make the difference.
And in the preview, they were chatting it up like they're like, this guy's going to be competing with all the best Primarchs.
Yeah,
like,
so
we'll see.
So while his stats are underwhelming, don't go crying about it yet. I suspect we're going to see some really nasty things going there. These are the new destroyers they've got. They kind of like look like a cross between the Scorpec destroyers, a Wraith, and the Flayed ones. They're like a combination of all of them. But they released their entire statistics here. So we're going to talk about them just a little bit. Because again, initially I was like, these are underwhelming. If we look at just the stat line, we've got a 10-inch movement, strength 4, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 4-up save. Not what we're used to seeing with Necrons. We want to see a 3-up save. We want to see toughness 5 and 3 wounds. So some of these guys aren't looking that great. Strength of 4, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
But let's go a step further. We also see that these guys are strength 6 in close combat. AP -4. That's no saves for Space Marines and 3 damage. That is killing Gravis Space Marines in a single hit.
That's killing the new Space Marines.
That's exactly it. They're the heavy intercessor in a single hit.
God.
And they got 3 attacks each. So you get 3 models for 5 power level. That's really cheap. These guys are not going to be expensive. So I've got 9 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s against toughness 5 Space Marines because they're strength 6. No save, 3 damage, auto kill.
Oh my.
So actually, these are like the glass cannon of close combat for the Necrons, right? If you want
Yeah.
tough destroyers, go with the Scorpec destroyers. If you want something that's just going to shred Space Marines, even the Gravis ones with toughness 5, these are going to be your guys. Now, they got a bunch of extra attacks as well. They get 1 extra attack at AP -3 for 2 damage and 2 extra attacks at AP -1 for 1 damage. So there's a lot of additional attacks here. These guys are going to shred infantry too. Astra Militarum, good night. Orcs, they're going to struggle against these guys because it's not really 9 attacks. Every model gets 3 extra attacks.
Yeah.
So we're really looking at 18 attacks in close combat.
Wow.
So there's actually a significant ability here. Rerolling all hit rolls of 1, absolutely massive in addition, right? Plus, every time you roll a 6 to hit, that's another hit on the main weapon. So we're looking at 9 attacks that every time you roll a 6, we'll probably get 1 6 there statistically.
Yeah.
Right. So, probably 10 attacks there and an extra 9 attacks. So there's a significant impact here.
Oh
Plus,
my
in
God.
close combat, your opponent gets -1 to hit you.
There's going to be so many good like dice roll moments where someone's like rolled a bunch of 1s, they re-roll them, and then they hit a bunch of 6s.
Yeah, it's so true. And so all of this is great, but let's go a step further because they can also deep strike. You can set them up 9 inches away from enemy models. So this unit, they're not very tough, but they're going to turn up later on in the game. Yeah, and that's where the real kicker comes. But again, how are we going to abuse this? Well, we're going to be abusing this with these new Necron cryptex, specifically this one, the Chronometron. Pick 1 unit within 9 inches and re-roll charge rolls. Now, rolling a 9 is very difficult on 2 dice. When you have the ability to re-roll that 9, it significantly increases your chances of getting it. Okay, so that's something that's worth mentioning. They've also brought back the flayed ones. I predicted, I've got a whole bunch of flayed ones in the other room. I knew they were coming. We've got them back. We don't know much about them except for the fact that they've got, on a 6, they get an extra hit. And they've got AP -1, which is what they needed because they were strength 4 with no AP, which was just terrible, yeah. But a 6 gives an extra hit, and AP -1 is great.
Look at those claws. They should be shredding with some AP.
They should be AP -1, yeah. So these guys look great, and I think we're probably going to see people using them. My real wish is that they're a troops choice. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if they become a troops choice, then I can see a lot of people taking them. Then we've got this Psychomancer. So this is crazy. Morale works very different in this edition of the game. You're going to get -1 to leadership characteristic, but also -1 for combat attrition tests. So I'm going to remind everyone how the morale rule works. I know a lot of people don't know how it works. Now, if you fail morale, only 1 model leaves. So even if you fail by 20, only 1 model leaves.
Oh, that's nice.
But then every model in the unit if one leaves, every model in the unit has to roll a dice, and on a 1, that model leaves. Right? So that's what brings the extra unit.
That's cool. That's like an extra element of morale.
Well, with this guys, you're going to take a 1 away for that roll. So actually 1s and 2s. So 1 in 3 models will leave.
Wow.
So they're going to reduce your leadership. So let's put this in perspective. Your Space Marine's going to go from leadership 8 to leadership 7. Mm-hmm. And then after that, every time if one person leaves on a 2 up, everybody else, or 2 or lower, everyone else leaves. So it's actually pretty nasty. We don't know if this can stack. If you can stack leadership drops, they might have a genuine leadership attack, which could be a devastating build.
Morale's a whole new game.
Yeah, morale's really different now. So there we go. So 9th edition is, and it's just a cool model. I mean, look at this skull thing here. It's really cool. Yeah. It's like digital skull. I like it.
It reminds me of, I can't remember his name. The bad guy from Star Fox.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that's super cool. So some great stuff there, but let's go a little bit deeper and start looking at the Space Marines. There's some very, very big reveals here, guys. So it's some pretty huge stuff. Now, if you're not familiar with the lore, I do want to talk a little bit about Belisarius Cawl, because not many people know too much about the lore. I'm curious, if you're watching this, let us know in the chat how much you know about the lore. Because in the very first Dark Imperium campaign book, there's a great moment where Robout Guilliman wants to have a chat with Belisarius Cawl. And so he summons him into his room and they have a chat. And Belisarius is basically just being arrogant. And he's like, he's talking to Robout Guilliman. He's like improving the Space Marines. And Robout Guilliman's like, what makes you think that you can improve on my father's design? But they're having like an argument about it.
Okay.
And Belisarius Cawl's like, basically, I'm perfect and I can make the best things in the world. And I'm going to keep making Primaris. Yeah. Which is great because in this video, the Space Marine goes up to him and says, you can't just keep solving everything with Primaris Marines. And he's like, watch me.
Yeah, exactly.
But basically, it's kind of the conversation he has with Robout Guilliman in the book. And then Robout Guilliman realizes he's not talking to Belisarius Cawl. He's talking to a clone that Belisarius Cawl made because Belisarius Cawl was too busy to talk to the leader of the Imperium.
Wouldn't that be? That's like everyone's dream.
You're right, exactly. Like, I'm sorry, boss, I can't talk to you today, but I made a clone that you can chat to. And the clone just keeps talking about how perfect Belisarius Cawl is. So it's a pretty funny moment. Anyway, point is, Primaris are here to stay, and they are coming in force. There's a lot here. But I'm going to show you a big sign that I think vehicles are changing in 9th edition for good. And I'll show you what I mean. This is going to be a big reveal, guys. So any of you that are chatting, we've got the Crusade rule here, which is kind of cool. Basically, if your character dies, you can put it inside a Dreadnought to continue on, which I think is amazing. I think that's really cool because it's fluffy. That's what you're supposed to be able to do. But that's not the big tease that I want to show you guys. So we've got the Master of Sanctity, which is huge. We had that in one of the supplements from the Psychic Awakening series. So it looks like that's staying. So you can have like a super priest, as it were. So if you want a super chaplain, you can have one of those. Let's look here. We've got this cool new captain who can have the heavy bolt rifle. But why can he have a heavy bolt rifle? That's because we've got new intercessors, which is what this is all about.
Yeah.
These are the new heavy intercessors. So this is pretty cool. So if we're looking here, they come with a squad of 4 and 1. That was huge for me because I expect whenever you see Gravis armor, these guys are troops in Gravis armor, by the way.
Yeah.
You normally just see 3 models. But here we have 4 heavy intercessors and 1 heavy intercessor sergeant. They've got toughness 5 and 3 wounds as basic troops of the Space Marines. These are tough as nails.
Gross. Get them off an objective.
Yeah, exactly. They're troops. They're going to secure objectives and they're going to be heavy. Now, as standard, they come with the heavy bolt rifle, which is a rapid fire 1, strength 5, AP -1 gun. Now, we're going to talk about this because of the doctrines. Assuming they stick with them in the new codex, that means on the second turn of the game, this is going to be an AP -2 weapon with 2 shots at 36 inches if you stand still. So that's some serious firepower. That's 10 shots, strength 5, AP -2 on the second turn of the game. So that's pretty serious stuff, guys. Turn 1, advance them into position where you want them to hold an objective.
Yep.
From then on, remove my toughness 5, 3-up troop that's pumping out 10 strength 5 shots at AP -2. Assuming they keep the doctrine.
Talk about some durability.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Exactly. Now, you can also add a heavy bolter into the squad, which is 3 shots, strength 5, AP -2 on turn 1 at 2 damage, which is pretty huge. Oh, AP -1 right now. We don't know if they're going to get the doctrine. Mm-hmm. But you can change to other types of rifles. So let's rename these. We've got the Hellstorm bolt rifle. We may as well call this the Assault 3 no AP bolt rifle. Now, that's pretty huge. You're going to get a lot of shots. You go from 10 shots to 15 shots. Personally, I would rather have the AP -1. Mm-hmm. I would like to reduce my opponent's army saves.
For sure.
But then you've got the Executor bolt rifle, which is 1 shot at AP -2 doing 2 damage. This is worth noting. A rifle that does 2 damage at strength 5, AP -2 is almost better than a rapid fire that does 1 damage because all Space Marines now have 2 wounds.
True.
That's every Chaos Space Marine has 2 wounds. When you look at things like Destroyers that have got multiple wounds, you kind of always want to be doing two wounds in this game.
I would say like the, Executioner going up against Space Marines, the heavy bolt rifle, if you're like going up against, some Xenos, Orcs, Tyranids.
Absolutely. So I think that's something well worth noting. Now, they've got this other rule here, which is weird. If no model in the unit has a heavy bolter, you can take one of the following options. But then it says for every 5 in the unit, you can replace the bolt rifle with a heavy bolter. One heavy bolter's heavy auto bolt rifle can be replaced with a Hellstorm heavy bolter. The heavy auto bolt rifle isn't here. And then the Heavy Ancestors Heavy Stalker Bolt Rifle also isn't here. So there's something missing from this. Not 100% sure exactly what it is, but this is not the full stat line. There's something off about the way that's worded. Maybe it's just because it's like a preview, but it's worth noting that it looks like these guys are probably going to get some other stuff. So, well worth having a look at and seeing how they go. So just worth checking out and see how it goes. But essentially, it looks like we're going to have less shots with higher AP or more shots with less AP.
Yep.
So, that I have always my ancestors like the middle of the range rapid fire because Space Marines are just good with rapid fire.
And that's pretty good range too. I mean,
it is. We've got these bad boys, what are they called? The Eradicators. So the Eradicators we saw, they've got that melter rifle. The big change here is that you can now have one with a multi-melter. And of course, the multi-melter, heavy 2, strength 8. Remember, the Eradicators can shoot twice in 1 turn. So that's actually heavy 4 if they're all targeting the same target. And with the new rule, it's D6 plus 2 damage double range. So these guys are just going to hit really, 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 really hard.
My God.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people using these Eradicators as we go forward. And people already are. Salamanders are taking them in tournaments right now. So I can see a lot of people using that.
I feel like, and we'll get to that as we go, but I feel like as we get more in depth with vehicles and stuff, we're going to see why they're like beefing up all these big weapons and stuff.
Absolutely. Now, I've got a big reveal on vehicles that we're going to talk about. It wasn't mentioned in the stream, but I noticed it, and I do want to share this with you in a second. We've got the Blade Guard veterans that can now have pistols and all these other things. I mean, these look like our new veterans, and they seem great. There's some great models. We got confirmation that Deathwing Wolfguard keyword get them, so that's going to be huge. So you can have Wolfguard, Space Wolf Blade Guard veterans. That's pretty huge. This was a big one that we all predicted. Assault intercessors can have, melee weapons. We've got a Thunderhammer here, and also a Hand Flame, which I think is really interesting because it's not something that many people take in the past, but it's just showing that it is an option.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I prefer to put a plasma pistol on my close combat people, but I can see, these guys kill so many troops in close combat anyway. Once they're within 6 inches, they're just going to kill them in close combat. So
yeah,
I'd rather have a plasma pistol, so if something survives, I can pop it off.
Yep.
But whatever, if you want to do it, you can. The Thunderhammer, though, is a game changer. People are going to love that.
Yep.
Then we get these new vehicles, okay? So these are the new Landspeeders. I think they look cooler than the old Landspeeders. They've added a 3rd model. There's normally just 2 that fire a Landspeeder.
Okay.
But if we start dissecting this model, we can see the kind of weapons it's got. So here, we're probably looking at these Iron Hail Stubbers that they have.
Yep.
So these guys, we're going to assume are like probably 4 shots each. That's like 8 shots at strength 4, AP -1. I think that's what that is, which is amazing. And then here looks like an Onslaught Cannon, which is an extra 6 shots, I think. And then we've got the Frag Storm shots as well. So this looks like it's an anti-infantry mass firepower thing, right? Which is pretty cool. The Hail Strike. I mean, there you go. Onslaught Gatling Cannon, 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers, and a pair of Frag Storm Grenade Launchers. That's exactly what I said. There we go. Right?
And I mean, why would they need anti-vehicle vehicles when they have anti-vehicle units now?
Right, exactly. Yeah. If you want to wipe out some infantry, grab one of these and get a fiber. But I think this is one people will take, the Hammer Strike, which is the anti-vehicle variant. And we got the full stats for this, which we're going to talk about in a second. Movement 6, toughness 6, 10 wounds. It's pretty good for what you want to see for a land speeder or what
16.
have you. Movement 16. I'm sorry. Movement 16, 6 wounds. 10 wounds, toughness 6, 3 up save. Then we look at how much strength 8 firepower this thing has. It's heavy 2 and heavy 3. So we're looking at basically heavy 5, strength 8. That's significant firepower. This thing alone can take out vehicles. And then if that wasn't enough, it's got a pair of strength 6 shots as well. What I love about this vehicle compared to a lot of others, a lot will have like anti-infantry and anti-vehicle. This is making it very clear. This is there to remove vehicles from the game. And if you look at the power level, 9 power level, it's cheaper than most big vehicles in the game.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to punch above its weight. So I like that. This thing's going to hit hard, and you get a couple of these, and your opponent's really going to cry. If you get first turn and you've got a few of these in your army and some Eradicators, your opponent's not going to have any firepower to fight back with. And that's, that Alpha Strike is going to be pretty nasty for people. But now let's talk about the big thing. Weapon skill 3+. Guys, you seeing this?
Yeah.
This is one of the first vehicles we've seen in 9th edition, the stat line. Weapon skill 3+. This thing can hit in close combat. But it's a Landspeeder, a Stormspeeder. They're not designed for close combat. This isn't a close combat vehicle, and it's got better close combat statistics than your freaking demon engines for Chaos that have a demon inside for close combat.
God.
I think we're seeing in 9th edition, vehicles are going to be able to hit in close combat. That means your Lehman Russ, we can anticipate, probably has a weapon skill of 4 up.
Oh, no.
We can start predicting these things. I can't guarantee it, but that means actually driving into something to hit it in close combat is worth it with a vehicle, because vehicles can shoot in close combat.
Yeah.
So I can drive my tank right up on your squad of Eradicators. Maybe I'll do a wound, which probably won't kill him because they've got 3 wounds each. Or on your heavy weapon team for Imperial Astra Militarum, run over a couple of dudes and kill them. Then start blasting them in close combat, because that's now allowed. So start watching for this, guys. The weapon skill of vehicles. It doesn't have
That's huge.
It's massive.
Oh my god.
It doesn't have a melee weapon, so it's just going to be strength 5 close combat. But still, 3 attacks to strength 5, hitting on 3s. Hit on 3s, wound on 3s. That's going to kill some guardsmen. So it's worth noting that these things, and that's the big reveal. I think that is absolutely huge. We've also been told what the next codex books are. We're looking at, I'm going to play this video just for a second. I'll skip through where they show them. If I can, maybe it won't work because we're live streaming. Okay, I won't bother. So basically, it's saying that they are Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and now you'd normally expect Dark Angels to come next, but they've gone to Death Watch.
Yep.
Now, I like that because I'm a Death Watch player. So
for sure. I knew you'd be happy about that.
I want my Death Watch. What I want to know, in the previous edition, our intercessors, we couldn't give them whatever guns we wanted. The regular veterans can pick and choose guns from anywhere, but the intercessors were still limited. So I want to know if we can mix and match all these cool units. That's the thing that I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting to see, and that's what I want to happen. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens there. But the 4th book is Death Guard. And I love that because in 8th edition, Death Guard came out first. And I think that means the Death Guard have been waiting a long time for some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you got a little bit of an update in Psychic Awakening, nothing too great. So having the Death Guard come out nice and early, I think is massive. So that's great. We paused at the right moment here because this is this new model for the Death Guard. What isn't clear 100% is whether this is a character or not. Now, James watched the preview, and he said in the preview they mentioned that this is a character, but sometimes they might say, look at this character.
For sure.
And they mean it's just a regular model in a squad. So let's look at him. What we're looking at here is a Terminator. This is Terminator armor. You can tell by the way it looks. It's got this sort of like, the hunchback look that Terminators have, and we've got a Power Fist here. The Power Fist is dripping Ica, which is kind of cool. And he's got the little shield. This is like classic Terminators. And I like that most Chaos Terminators don't look like classic Terminators. This one kind of does. He's got that remnant. There's like similarities in the armor. And it looks like he's got the Plague Spewer that the what they call the Blight drones have. So what's interesting is the Blight drones gun is based on their strength. I'm going to assume this is a strength 6, kind of like a Bile Spear or something that they have. So that's going to be my guess. My guess is going to be D6, strength 6, AP minus 1 or 2. That's going to be my guess. But it would be cool if we had a character with a flamethrower, or a acid spitter. Yeah. And that would be a great little model to have. You can see his fat gut spilling out over here, or maybe that's a robe, who knows. So yeah, if this is a cool character that's on foot, like a Terminator character, that would be nice. It'd be nice to have a non-Typhus Terminator, but we'll see. And then they announce what the new codexes are going to be. They say the next, these are the main 4.
Yep.
The next codexes are going to be Codex Dark Angels and a Xenos Codex.
Yes.
Historically, we know the first Xenos Codex to come out, unless it's one of the cool ones like Necrons, where it came out in the main edition, we're looking at Eldari. And I think it's a fair bet that we're going to see Eldari as the first Codex that isn't Death Watch.
And I mean, they're becoming really popular too as the new rules come out with 9th edition. I'm seeing more and more people get interested in those over the other Xenos,
Yeah.
aside from Necrons.
And Eldari is like the other Imperium. So it's like, it does happen. So I think we'll see Eldari. I can't quote me on it, but that's going to be my instinct. So if you're an Eldari player, probably got a lot to look forward to. And then this is massive. Games Workshop said that in 9th edition, they were going to take over the rules for Forge World. And that's huge because there's always been a misbalance. Either your Forge World units suck or your Forge World units are too powerful.
Yeah.
Because Forge World don't interact with the team at Games Workshop. They're sister companies, but they don't exactly interact. Games Workshop said they're going to take control of the rules, and they're putting all of the Forge World rules into one book.
That's awesome.
Historically, you've had to buy 4 books or get weird downloads or strange updates. The problem with this is we've never seen Games Workshop take control of Forge World. Things might just play very, very differently.
Yeah.
I remember I was bummed I bought the Porphyrian Knight because it was a toughness 9 knight, and then they changed it to toughness 8 the week after it arrived. So I've just got no idea what to expect. The Leviathan is my favorite model in the entire range of 40k. I like that it's toughness 8, it has a 4-up invulnerable save and a 2-up save, and it has 20 shots. These things are why I like it. I might find that it now has 8 shots, toughness 7, 5-up invulnerable save, and a 3-up save. And if they do that, I'm going to cry. But that's the kind of thing we could be expecting here. So either way, this is going to be a must-have book for everyone, and honestly, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Sadly, they haven't said when it's coming out. I can tell you, however, it's probably coming out soon, and here's why. Forge World makes most of its money at Christmas time. I know this sounds weird, but those models are expensive. It's like $3,000.
I mean, that doesn't sound weird at all.
Right.
They look expensive.
Right. So, and Forge World are going to want to make sales coming up to Christmas. They've been hit by COVID just like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I suspect we're going to see this real soon, at least in time for Christmas. Enough in time for us to get excited to buy it at Christmas with some models.
For
right?
sure.
So that's kind of what I'm expecting then. And the big thing, of course, they're touting here is the Krieg soldiers, which are going to be absolutely huge. I love these. I've got an entire army of these not painted up. So it's time for me to start getting my Krieg guys going because I'm a huge AM fan. And there we are. That's the release. So I think the biggest thing here is the fact that, you know, we've probably, like, some guesswork, but we're probably seeing vehicles that hit on 3s or 4s in close combat.
That's big.
Which is massive. We're looking at definitely getting Dark Angels at the beginning of next year. We know what the codexes are coming up before the end of this year. 4 codexes, we're in September. So October, November, December, they're the 3 months that we've got left. Usually Games Workshop will do 1 a month. So there's 4. So we're probably looking at, there's a chance they'll do dual releases. So
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so my prediction is that we'll see like 2 in October and 2 in November. That's my guess. So we'll probably get these 2 codexes at the end of September, early October.
Yep.
Then we'll get 2 more at the end of October, 2 more at the end of November, and then we'll see all the Christmas stuff for December. So that would be my guess if you guys care about what it's probably going to look like. And then in the new year, to help them recover after Christmas, because there's a lull of sales at the beginning of January.
For sure.
We'll probably see the new codexes like 2nd week of January. That would Dark Angels and my guess is Elder, but we'll see. If it's not going to be Elder, if I had to put money on something else, it would be something that's really going to drive in the cash, which weirdly, my second guess would be Tyranids. We've seen some Tyranids teased against the Necrons in some of the pictures. So, and Tyranids, it's a horde army, lots of models, big fan base.
Yeah.
So if it's not Elder, I could see it being Tyranids, but it's almost always Elder as the second or the first Xenos codex. So this time second because of the Necrons. So that's my everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed watching this and you want to continue the discussion, come join us on Game Talk for Gamers. It's our Facebook group. It's a community, great people, about 5,000 players in there now.
Yeah.
And they're all really competent players. We'd love to have you there. You can talk to myself, James, and the rest of the team. Just go to Facebook and look for Game Talk for Gamers. Other than that, hope you enjoyed it. Please share the stream with anyone and let us know what you think. Our vehicle is going to be hitting in close combat now. Let me know.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, this was a fun breakdown, and yeah, go from there.